It's the last week of math. Okay, so this is the worksheet Convert Fractions to Decimals that should be for Monday. And so I'm going to work problem 1 and problem 13. So first we're going to take the fraction 2/4 and we're going to convert it into a decimal. And you need to remember what we talked about this fraction bar here being the division sign. So this problem is 2 divided by 4, and that's the problem that we're going to do. So we want 2, and then we're going to divide it by 4. And so then in order to do that, if you remember, we put a decimal point and a 0. And then we're going to put the decimal point up top so we don't forget. And then we're just going to divide like normal. So that 4 divides into 25 times. 5 times 4 is 20. And then we're finished, 5/10. Okay, and then we also have some problems that have hundredths for the denominator. So this is a lot simpler. So this is 31 hundredths. We know how to write that as a decimal. We don't even have to do anything. We're just going to write the decimal 31 hundredths. And if you decide you don't want to include the 0, that's fine. Alright, this is Tuesday's worksheet multiplying fractions. So I have problem 7 and problem 9 here to work for you. And so we have also done this. This is review, but what I want to do is save you a little bit of time with this. So you need to think of this as like 2 multiplication problems. We're just going to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. However, we can simplify this before we start multiplying. That way it'll save you some time over here. So we're going to look at the numbers that are across from each other, and then we're going to cross reduce. So right here, 3 and 15 are both divisible by 3, so 3 can divide into 3 one time, and 3 divides into 15 5 times. And then we're going to look at 2 and 6. So 2 can divide into 2 one time, and 2 can divide into 6 3 times. And then all we have to do is multiply across the top, the 1 times 1, and 3 times 5. Okay, and then for 9, we have 9/11 times 1/3. So I can't do anything with the 1 and the 11, but I can do something with the 3 and the 9. 3 divides into 3 one time, and 3 divides into 9 3 times, and then I multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. And that's all you have to do. This is from the worksheet Multiplying Fractions and Mixed Numbers. So we have a mixed number 1 and 1/10 multiplied by 5/8. So we have to do something with the mixed number first before we can multiply. So we have to change it into an improper fraction. So we will do 1 times 10 plus 1, that's 11, and we'll keep the denominator the same, so that becomes 11/10. Remember we said in class big times the bottom plus the top, and then we keep the denominator. And then we multiply that by 5/8. So I'm going to check to see if I can cross simplify first, and I can't do anything with 11 and 8, but with 5 and 10 I can. So 5 will divide into 5 once, and 5 will divide into 10 2 times. And then I multiply 11 times 1 and 2 times 8. And that's it. This is dividing whole numbers by fractions, and I know it's been a little bit since we've done this, but as soon as you see it, you're going to remember and you'll be able to zip right through this. Okay, so this is 6 divided by 1/4. So we can think of it Like if we had 6 sub sandwiches, then we can see how many 4th size pieces we make. So then you can probably see and make the connection that we have also the number 6 and 4 here, and we know right here that we have 24 different pieces. So the related multiplication sentence for this is 6 times 4, and the answer to this is 24. All right, some of the problems on this same page are going to be worked a little bit differently. So the other way that we talked about doing this is we take the whole number 8 and then we use 1 as the denominator. We need to change the sign here to multiply, and we need to take the reciprocal of the second number. So we're just going to flip it so that we have 5/4. Then before we do the multiplication, we can cross simplify. 4 divides into 4 once, and 4 divides into 8 2 times, and then we just multiply, so we come across with 10/1, which is just 10. So some of the problems you'll be able to work the first way, and others of the problems you'll have to do the change the sign to multiply and use the reciprocal of the second number. This is dividing fractions by whole numbers, and so here in number 1 we have 1/4 divided by 4. So I made our Kit Kat bar and I divided it into fourths, and we're just talking about this 1/4 piece right here, and we want to divide that into 4 pieces. So what we want to know is the size of one of those pieces. So if I take 1/4 of my Kit Kat bar and I divide it into 4 pieces, it's going to be 1/16 of the entire thing. So then our related multiplication sentence is going to be 1/4 times 1/4, and that equals 1/16. Now in this other problem, I'm going to show you what is actually happening. So we have 3/4 divided by 2 here. We're going to do this in a different way. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll do 3/4, and I'm just going to change this to where I have 2/1. And then in my next step, I'm going to change the sign to multiply and do the reciprocal. So I'll have 3/4 times 1/2. And then I can check to see if I can cross reduce at all, but I can't. And then I'm going to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. And that's all you have to do there. All right, this is calculating volume, last day of math, last day of the packet. So I'm going to do one of these composite figures so you can remind yourself about how to do them. So when we have a figure like this, we can't calculate the volume of the entire thing like this. We have to split it into 2 different boxes. So I'm going to make my split right here. And I'm going to cut this into this little box here in the front and this bigger box here in the back. And then I'm going to find the volume of each, and I'm going to add them together. And remember the formula for volume. We have to have length times width times height. So I'm going to be looking for 3 measurements for each box. So for this one here, I can see that this little piece here is 1 meter. And then I'm looking for the height of it. So I'm going to go around the box and I'm going to find the line that looks similar to this one, like this one and that one. So times 4, and then I need the piece here, and it tells me that this whole thing right here is 10 and that this piece here is 7. So then I'm just left with this little piece right here. So then that one must be 3. And so then the volume of my smaller box here is 12 meters cubed. So then I'm just going to find out the volume of my bigger box, and I have 7 and 4 and 7 here. So I have 7 times 4 times 7, and then I want to do 28 times 7. That gives me 196. So then I'm going to add the 196 and the 12. So I'm going to have 208 altogether. That's 208 meters cubed because we have 3 dimensions that we're multiplying.